So the game against Standard Liege is exactly how I expected. Now, I went for a scoreline of 4-0, and 4-0 is what it was. I know the game was sort of over after the first 22 minutes after we took a 3-goal lead. I think we took our foot off the gas and kind of like sat back, not sat back, but kind of passed the ball around more than we would do. Game was kind of killed off, and then, like I say, eased ourselves out, got a goal in the second half. But you know what? There's some players out there that are definitely pushing for a spot against Bournemouth. Looking forward to seeing what these kids can bring. These literally is exciting times. I know we are signing players. People want to see Arsenal sign players for 70 million, 60 million. But you know what? When you got youngsters like Reece Nelson, Joe Willock, Martinelli, all sort of coming through. Guendouzi's still young. Tierney's still young. Rob Holding's still young as well. So you know what? I don't think Arsenal really need to kind of like go out there, sign these sort of players. We've got talent coming through. So sometimes you need to give these sort of kids a chance. I'm going to give you my player rating from last night's game. Starting off with the goalkeeper. Now, I think Martinez, you know what? As much as like I didn't think that Standard Liege would have many shots on like the goal, he kind of like did what he needed to do. And to me, he made a couple of saves, and he kind of like sometimes sloppy passes from like some Mustafi kind of got him into trouble and stuff like that. So Martinez did what he needed to do, and to me, Martinez gets a 7. Then we move on to our right back now, Bellerin. It's nice to see him back, but I still believe he's not ready for the Bournemouth game on Sunday. He done what he needed to do as well. He was getting up and down the pitch, making tackles. So to me, I think Bellerin will get a 7 too. Then we move on to the left back. Now we all know Tierney, the quality he was going to bring when he came from Celtic, and we could see that quality last night. He got the assist for the first goal, bombing up and down the pitch. And I wanted to see a different side of Tierney as well, because I know a lot of people talk about he's going forward, but I wanted to see him kind of like under pressure of like defending. And you know what? He came through that as well. What he needed to do is what he needed to do, and he done it as well. So to me, Tierney, absolutely amazing last night, gets a 9. Then we move on to centre backs. Now Rob Holding, he did a decent job. Like I said, there wasn't much threat coming from Standard Liege, so he did what he needed to kind of do as well. He kind of like made a few blocks. He did get caught with kind of a bit of pace from their strikers at one case, but you know what? He's just come back into the team after a long-term injury. So to me, what he needed to do last night is what he did, and he looked kind of decent. He looked solid. So to me, Rob Holding gets a 7. Then we move on to the partner beside him, Mustafi. Now Mustafi made a few mistakes. Mustafi was kind of like trying to play balls into the gaps and stuff like that, and getting caught out. And then like he was kind of making mistakes, putting the keepers under pressure, playing the ball back to him, playing the ball back to like Rob Holding. He's putting him under pressure where he had to clear it quite quick. So to me, Mustafi gets a basic 5. Then we move on to the 2 holding midfielders. Now Torreira, he had an alright game. He didn't have to really do much. He kind of like I say, most of these players last night weren't really under much pressure, but Torreira did what he needed to do as well. Tackles he made, getting forward, just getting back. So he kind of like held his position and stuff like that. So to me, Torreira gets a 7 too. Now Joe Willock, no, not Joe Willock, it was Danny Ceballos. Now Danny Ceballos was in a bit of a different position last night. He was a bit more further back than he normally would be. He'd normally just play behind the strikers, but Danny Ceballos, he was amazing last night. He literally, look at his sort of skills. We all know that sort of skills that we've seen, like when he played against Burnley. He literally turns players inside out. He was doing that. He got himself a goal last night. He was getting himself in positions, putting players in. So to me, Danny Ceballos gets a 8. Then we move on to the left hand side. Now Reece Nelson. Reece Nelson had a great game, absolute great game. It was good to kind of see him kind of like be able to express himself, get forward and stuff like that. So, and like I say, again, he got his goal. He got a couple of assists as well. I think he got the assist for, whose goal was it? He got the assist for Martinelli's first goal, and then like his shot got blocked where Joe Willock scored as well. So there was kind of involved in 2 goals, and it was nice to kind of see like the likes of Reece Nelson kind of. When you look at one of the goals that the commentator was saying on BT Sports, it was like a 22-year-old passing to a 20-year-old, and then a 20-year-old passing to a 19-year-old. You know what? That's what I'm trying to say. These kids need to be given chances. So to me, Reece Nelson last night, he'll get an 8. Then we move on to the guy on the right-hand side, and that was Maitland-Niles. Now Maitland-Niles, he had an alright game, probably more of a more standard game. It was nice probably for himself as well to be further up the pitch. He can kind of cut in, get his natural position in there as well. But to me, he just gets a standard 6. He didn't really do anything outstanding like where the other sort of players stood out more for that game. So to me, Maitland-Niles just gets an average 6. Then we move on to Joe Willock. Now Joe Willock had an absolutely outstanding. Sometimes I look at Joe Willock and I'm like, he's good at running with the ball. You know what? He draws the kind of like players to him. He draws the fouls. But what I would like to see with Joe Willock sometimes as well is he needs to release that ball a bit quicker. But to me, he was amazing last night. And sometimes you just look at him and kind of go, he's a future star in the making. Future England call up as well for him as well. So, but to me, Joe Willock gets a 8. Then we look at Martinelli. Now, we all know what Martinelli could do. He done it in sort of pre-season as well. He's got himself a couple of goals there. He's coming to the game against Nottingham Forest last week, and he got a couple of goals there. And then last night, he looked absolutely outstanding. Got his couple of goals. That header in the first goal, literally. Now, normally, like you hear, like a lot of strikers that wanted to score goals, they'll stick themselves in between the two posts, and they kind of stand there. But he wants to kind of go out wide a little bit as well. He wants to come out each side, and kind of like you see his goal came out a bit further and headed it in, and stuff like that. And then you look even the quality for the second goal. Second goal, like he could have shot with his left foot. Like players that probably not in form and stuff like that would probably take the shot on the left foot, and it wouldn't kind of like go in. But he had that kind of quality to kind of like cut himself back, and that was an absolutely outstanding finish. He could have got himself a hat-trick, one of that ball come across the box and he kind of missed it, but you know what, he kept his head up and he got himself an assist for Danny Ceballos' goal. So to me, Martinelli probably gets a 10, and that's probably going out. I know people say, oh, nothing's perfect, but you know what, to me he was outstanding last night, and he'll get a 10 from me. Thinking about the players that came on, Niles came off for Nicolas Pepe. Now Nicolas Pepe, and we all know that people are putting him under pressure, but we need to give him time. I don't think he really did much when he came on. He had a few kind of half chances here and there, but he just wanted to kind of be more sort of like passing the ball, and he wasn't really kind of taking the players on what he was doing when he first came in at the start of the season. And I don't think it's healthy for people to put him under pressure. His goals will come, his assists will come. We just need to give him time. I don't believe people are talking about him being an extra Vino. I don't kind of see that with Pepe. He's got the quality, he's still young again as well, and he'll kick on for the rest of the season as well. But to me, Nicolas Pepe gets a 6. Then we look at Joe Willock came off for Guendouzi. Now, Guendouzi, like I say, didn't really have much to do when he came on, but he just done what he needed to do as well. And to me, Guendouzi gets an average 6 as well. Then we look at the last substitution. It was Nelson for Aubameyang. Aubameyang could even kind of got himself a couple of goals. And you know what, like I said, when these sort of players came on the pitch, there wasn't really much of the game really left. There wasn't really much kind of high sort of tempo. Arsenal were just kind of seeing the ball out. And so when Aubameyang came on, he gets an average 6 as well. So there's my player ratings for the game against Standard Liège last night. And like I said to you, it's like, it was kind of like nice to kind of watch the game relax. But Arsenal should have cooked, so instead of taking their foot off the gas and kind of like looking at it and kind of going, alright, we'll see the game out. Sometimes you just need to kind of destroy these teams, get players' confidence up, get goals, as much as goals. Fans want to see goals, you know what I mean? So I know after like the sort of 22nd minute, Arsenal kind of like relaxed, kind of passed about more than they would kind of going forward. But Standard Liège were there last night for the taking, and Arsenal, but yeah, like I said, I was predicting 4-0, and 4-0 is what we got. So I'm kind of happy. Like I say, we're top of the group now, and we're ahead by 3 points. Looking like we're going to qualify probably with maximum points anyway. Like I said to you before, I think the hardest game probably was out of the way with Frankfurt away. I don't really think there's much in that sort of group that's kind of going to trouble us. Next sort of games against like Victoria, and then you've got Victoria home and away. So I'm looking forward to them sort of games, get them 12 points, and then once you get the 12 points, we can kind of relax and kind of like even put in more youngsters in the team. So yeah, I'm thinking like last night was kind of like happy with that now. But we move on to the game against Bournemouth on Sunday. Hopefully, fingers crossed, there's been no niggles this morning from the last night's game, and we move on there. But my preview will be coming up for that one maybe tomorrow in like afternoon. So yeah, look out for the preview for the Bournemouth game. And as we say, hope you go there and get 3 points and kick ourselves on for the rest of the season. Come on, Arsenal. Well done last night.